You're not broke because you're unlucky. You're not broke because the system hates you. You're broke because you keep making the same comfortable decisions every single day and calling them normal. And I know that sentence hit a nerve. It was supposed to. Because if you're still listening right now, something inside you already knows the truth. You don't have a money problem. You have a thinking problem. You wake up, you work hard, you get paid, and then you wonder where the money went, month after month, year after year. And deep down, there's this quiet fear you don't talk about, the fear that this is it, that this cycle never changes. That one day you'll look back and realize you spent your best earning years buying things that meant nothing. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, where will you be financially in 10 years? Don't answer out loud, you already know. This is where most people click away, not because they don't understand, but because understanding hurts more than ignorance. Ignorance lets you stay comfortable. Truth forces you to change, and change is expensive emotionally. Here's the foundation you were never taught, and it's the line that separates people who build wealth from people who only talk about it. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Simple, brutal, non-negotiable. But most people spend their entire lives blurring that line because it protects their lifestyle. They call liabilities or rewards. They call debt normal. They call consumption self-care. And then they call being broke bad luck. You don't get rich by earning more. You get rich by keeping more and putting it to work. Income is just potential. What you do with it decides everything. This is why two people can earn the same salary and end up in completely different financial realities. One builds assets, the other builds bills. And this brings us to the first major mistake that quietly keeps people poor. Buying brand new cars, not transportation, not reliability, not safety, brand new cars. You tell yourself you deserve it. You worked hard, you earned it, you want something nice, and emotionally that makes sense. Financially, it's a disaster. The moment that car leaves the lot, it loses value. Instant, no debate, no exception. That loss is permanent. You don't get it back with good maintenance. You don't get it back with pride. It's gone. And yet, people don't just buy new cars. They borrow money to do it. Think about how backwards that is. You're paying interest for the privilege of owning something that is guaranteed to be worth less every day. You're stacking loss on top of loss and calling it success. That's not wealth. That's delayed regret. I've watched people celebrate new cars like milestones, big smiles, compliments, and then quietly, the stress starts, the payment, the insurance, the maintenance, the fear of missing one paycheck. The car didn't just cost money. It cost flexibility. It cost peace. It cost opportunity. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. The car you drive has nothing to do with your net worth. Nothing. It doesn't impress the people who matter, and it doesn't change your future. But the money you don't spend on depreciation, that compounds, that grows. That buys time. When you choose a cheaper, reliable car, you're not being cheap. You're being strategic. You're choosing ownership over appearance. That difference matters more than you think. This is where the asset versus liability mindset becomes real. A car that drains money every month is not helping you build wealth. It's doing the opposite. And when you upgrade too early, too often, you're choosing today's pleasure over tomorrow's freedom. Ask yourself this honestly. Would you rather look successful for 5 years or be financially free for the rest of your life? Most people never ask that question. They just follow what everyone else is doing and hope it works out. Now let's go deeper, because the second mistake is even more dangerous. It feels responsible. It feels mature. Society applauds it. Buying too much house. You've been told since you were young that owning a home is the ultimate financial goal, that it's an investment, that bigger means better, that stretching is normal. Here's the truth most people don't want to face. The house you live in is not an asset, it's a liability. An asset pays you. Your house charges you every month. Money leaves your account, mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs, utilities. And the bigger the house, the bigger the drain. People love to say real estate always goes up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But even when it does, you can't eat equity. You can't pay bills with potential. And you can't access that value without debt or selling the roof over your head. What really keeps people stuck is how they buy. They don't buy what they need. They buy the maximum the bank allows. Let me be very clear about something. The bank is not on your side. The bank does not care about your future freedom. The bank wants you in debt as long as possible because debt is how they make money. When they approve you for a number, that number is designed to benefit them, not you. So people stretch, they take pride in being approved, and then they spend decades paying interest instead of building assets. That's the trade-off nobody talks about. I've seen people with beautiful houses and empty investment accounts. They look stable, they sound responsible, but one emergency, one job loss, one economic shift, and everything becomes fragile. That's not security, that's illusion. Buying less house than you can afford is one of the most powerful financial decisions you can make. It gives you margin, it gives you options. It gives you the ability to invest consistently, and investments are assets. They work while you sleep. They don't demand repairs. They don't care about your mood. This is where mindset separates people. Most people want the biggest visible win. Wealthy thinkers want the strongest invisible foundation. They understand opportunity cost. Every dollar tied up in unnecessary payments is a dollar that can't grow. Time is the multiplier, and wasting time is the most expensive mistake of all. Let me pause here and ask you something important. Are your biggest monthly expenses helping you build wealth, or are they just helping you look like you're doing well? That question makes people uncomfortable because it forces honesty. Here's the hard reality. Most people stay broke not because they're irresponsible, but because they're following a script that was written by people who profit from their debt. Buy more, upgrade faster, stretch further, normalize payments, and then wonder why freedom never arrives. This is the awakening moment. This is where you stop measuring success by what you own and start measuring it by what you control. Control over your time, control over your choices, control over your future. Assets give you control, liabilities take it away. In the next part, we're going to go deeper into the habits that quietly drain your income, the psychology behind lifestyle inflation, and why small daily decisions matter more than big dramatic ones. For now, sit with this, not guilt, not shame, awareness, because awareness is where real change begins. If part one made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the sound of old habits fighting for survival. Because you understand assets and liabilities, once you truly see how money either works for you or against you, you can't unsee it. And that's when the real battle begins, not with the economy, not with your salary, with your lifestyle. This is where most people fail. They don't lose because they're lazy. They lose because every time their income goes up, their spending runs faster. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most destructive forces in personal finance. You make a little more money, so you upgrade a little. A nicer phone, a better apartment, more dinners out, a new wardrobe, nothing extreme, nothing crazy, and somehow you're still broke. Let me tell you the truth no one likes to admit. Your lifestyle is not designed to make you wealthy. It's designed to keep you dependent. The world rewards you for spending, not for saving. Advertisements don't celebrate discipline. They celebrate indulgence. They tell you that comfort is success, that upgrades are progress, and that if you don't enjoy your money now, you're missing out on life. But here's the reality. If every raise you get disappears into a better lifestyle, you haven't improved your life, you've just made your cage more comfortable. Wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. No gap, no wealth. Most people never allow that gap to exist. They feel it for a month or two, then they close it with consumption, and then they wonder why nothing changes. This is where discipline separates adults from dependents. Let me give you a simple example. Two people earn the same income. One keeps their lifestyle stable and invests the difference. The other upgrades every year, same income, same opportunities. 10 years later, one has options, the other has payments. Same starting line. Completely different finish. Now let's talk about the third major mistake that quietly destroys wealth. Eating out constantly, not as a treat, not as an experience, as a habit. This one is dangerous because it feels harmless. It feels small, it feels earned. And because it's spread out, people never add it up. Coffee every morning, lunch during work, delivery when you're tired, weekend outings. Snacks, convenience. Individually, it doesn't scare you. Collectively, it should, because money spent on convenience rarely delivers value equal to its cost. It buys time in the moment and steals it from your future. The problem isn't food. The problem is unconscious spending. People will tell you they don't have money to invest and then spend hundreds every month on meals they don't even remember. That's not a money problem. That's a priority problem. Here's the difference in thinking. Poor thinking says, it's only a few dollars. Wealth thinking says, what is this costing me long term? That question changes everything. Small leaks sink big ships, and food spending is one of the biggest leaks because it happens daily. You don't feel the pain once, you feel it slowly over years. And here's the irony. Many people spend more money eating poorly than they would cooking better food at home. More money, less health, less wealth. That's not enjoyment. That's self-neglect disguised as convenience. Now let's move to the fourth mistake, and this one is deeply emotional, buying things to impress people. Clothes, accessories, gadgets, status symbols. This is where ego quietly hijacks financial logic. You don't buy these things because you need them. You buy them because you want to be seen a certain way. Successful, put together, ahead. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The people you're trying to impress are too busy trying to impress someone else. Nobody is tracking your upgrades. Nobody is auditing your outfits. And the people who judge you based on what you own are not people whose opinions will ever improve your life. Yet people go into debt trying to maintain an image. That's not confidence. That's fear of being ordinary, fear of being overlooked, fear of not being enough. And corporations know this. They build entire industries around making you feel like what you have is outdated, insufficient, embarrassing. So you replace things that still work. You chase trends. You confuse novelty with progress. Wealthy thinkers don't do that. They buy quality once and move on. They don't need constant validation because their confidence comes from control, not consumption. Here's a hard question. If nobody could see what you owned, would you still buy it? If the answer is no, it's probably not serving your future. Now let's talk about debt psychology, because this is where many people get trapped permanently. Debt feels normal because everyone around you has it. Payments are everywhere. Monthly bills are treated like facts of life. But debt is not neutral. It has momentum. Debt either accelerates wealth or destroys it, depending on what it's attached to. Borrowing to acquire assets that produce income can be strategic. Borrowing to fund lifestyle is a financial anchor. The problem is most people don't see the difference. They just see affordability. Can I make the payment? becomes the only question they ask. That's the wrong question. The right question is, does this make me stronger or weaker financially? Payments reduce flexibility. They lock in future income. They limit options. And when life changes, and it always does, debt doesn't care. People with high fixed expenses live fragile lives. Everything has to go right for them to stay afloat. That's not stability. That's pressure. This is why consumption versus ownership matters. Consumption feels good now. Ownership pays you later. Consumption is emotional. Ownership is strategic. One drains you quietly. The other builds you patiently. Most people choose consumption because ownership requires waiting. It requires restraint. It requires saying no when everyone else is saying yes. And that's uncomfortable. But discomfort is temporary. Regret lasts much longer. Think about this. Every dollar you spend today is not just a dollar gone. It's a dollar that could have grown for decades. Time is the multiplier people ignore. Money invested early works harder than money invested later. Delaying discipline is expensive. This is why bad decisions don't feel bad at first. The consequences are delayed. And humans are terrible at respecting delayed consequences. Until they arrive, until you're older, more tired, and wondering why freedom feels so far away. This is the crossroads. You can keep upgrading your lifestyle and stay on the same treadmill. Or you can freeze your lifestyle, redirect your income, and let compounding do its work. One path feels good now, the other feels good forever. In the final part, we're going to shift completely, from mistakes to mastery, from habits to identity, from consumption to control, because getting rich isn't about one big move. It's about becoming the kind of person who makes disciplined decisions consistently. When you're ready, say the words. If you've made it this far, you already know something most people never accept. Getting rich has very little to do with money and everything to do with who you become. Most people think wealth is a destination, a number, a lifestyle. It's not. Wealth is an identity, and until your identity changes, your bank account won't. This is the part where everything shifts, not tactics, not tips, mindset, because poor thinking will destroy good income every single time. Let's be brutally honest. Most people don't actually want to be rich. They want the appearance of being rich without the discipline required to earn it. They want comfort now and freedom later, not realizing those two rarely coexist. Real wealth demands trade-offs, and trade-offs demand maturity. Here's the mental shift that separates people permanently. Poor thinking asks, how do I afford this? Wealthy thinking asks, should I own this at all? Poor thinking asks, how can I enjoy my money right now? Wealthy thinking asks, how can I make this money work harder than I do? That difference is everything. Most people live their lives reacting to stress, reacting to emotions, reacting to social pressure, and money disappears fastest when emotions are in control. Wealth requires intention. You don't drift into financial freedom. You design it. And that design starts with discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It's the ability to delay gratification today so your future self doesn't suffer tomorrow. It's choosing boring consistency over exciting mistakes. It's doing the unglamorous things repeatedly while others chase shortcuts. This is where comfort becomes the enemy. Comfort tells you to upgrade. Comfort tells you to relax. Comfort tells you everyone else is doing it. But comfort is expensive, and it always sends the bill later. People underestimate how dangerous comfort really is. Comfort keeps you stuck just above desperation, but far below freedom. Comfortable enough not to panic, uncomfortable enough to complain. That's the trap. Wealth is built in the uncomfortable middle. The phase where you could spend more but choose not to, where you could impress but don't, where you could indulge but invest instead. This phase is quiet, lonely, invisible, no applause, no validation, just progress. And that's why most people quit. Let me tell you something important. The market doesn't reward intention. It rewards consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be disciplined longer than everyone else. This is where long-term thinking comes in. Most people think in weeks. Some think in months. Very few think in decades. But money compounds over time, not emotion. Every dollar you invest is a worker. One worker doesn't look impressive. 1,000 workers change your life, and they only grow if you keep hiring them. But hiring workers means not spending that money on temporary pleasure. This is where identity matters. Are you the kind of person who consumes or the kind of person who owns? Owners think differently. Owners deplan. Owners don't panic during downturns because they understand cycles. Consumers chase feelings. Owners build systems. This is why financial education matters so much. Not because it makes you smarter, because it makes you calmer. Calm people make better decisions. Emotional people make expensive ones. You don't need to predict the market. You need to outlast your bad habits. Think about your future self for a moment. Not the fantasy version, the real one, older, slower, less energy, more responsibility. That version of you is either going to thank you or resent you. Every unnecessary purchase today is a problem you hand to that future version. Every disciplined decision is a gift. Most people never think about that. They live as if tomorrow is guaranteed and youth is permanent. It's not. Time is the only asset you can't replace. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. This is why discipline now is mercy later. Here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. You don't get rich by doing what feels good. You get rich by doing what makes sense. And often, what makes sense feels boring. Living below your means isn't flashy. Investing consistently isn't exciting. Saying no isn't fun. But being financially free is. Freedom is waking up without panic. Freedom is choices. Freedom is time. And freedom is built slowly, quietly, deliberately. Not through luck. Not through shortcuts. Through discipline. Now let me bring this home. If you want to get rich, stop buying things that steal your future. Stop financing depreciation. Stop upgrading your lifestyle with every raise. Stop confusing convenience with value. Stop impressing people who don't pay your bills. Stop bleeding money through subscriptions and habits you don't even enjoy. Start buying assets. Start buying time. Start buying control. And understand this clearly. No one is coming to save you. No policy, no boss, no miracle. Your financial future is built one decision at a time. You can keep choosing comfort and stay where you are, or you can choose discipline and change everything. If this message challenged you, that's a good sign. Like this video so it reaches people who need the truth. Comment which habit you're cutting first. Subscribe if you want more clarity instead of comfort, because money doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to your behavior. Make better decisions, build real wealth, and give your future self the life it deserves.